Close your eyes and imagine the backdrop for the fairy tales you loved as a child. Now open them. If you're standing on the shores of Lake Bled, Slovenia, seeing the church-topped island and the castle-topped cliff, then you're already there. Is this the most beautiful place on Earth? I certainly think so, and I'm not alone. Millions of visitors have marveled at the fairy tale perfection of Bled, Slovenia. This podcast brings you the wonders of Bled, its people, places, foods, history, and experiences. Everything you need for a perfect holiday. I'm your host, Noah Charney, and this is the Bled Podcast. Is this the most beautiful place on Earth? Let's begin. Everyone's heard of Lake Bled, but just 5 minutes away there's a village that deserves its own spotlight, especially if you're a fan of pears. It's called Zasip, and it's lovingly nicknamed Prgarija, or the land of the prga. What's a prga? Well, this episode is all about Zasip, a village you probably haven't heard of, but which is famous and fascinating, the perfect addition to your Bled holiday. Now, what's a prga? It's a dried tepka. What's a tepka, you may well ask? It's a hardy little fruit, also known as a snow pear. These pears aren't much to eat raw, but once dried or cooked, they become something truly special. There's a folk tale, maybe more myth than fact, that Empress Maria Theresa once required snow pears to be planted across the empire to feed the poor. If landowners didn't comply, they were beaten, hence the verb tepsti, to hit, the origin of the word tepka. Whether or not this is true, the people of Zasip have taken the story to heart, and more importantly, they've turned these pears into culinary gold. Dried tepka, or prga, became the foundation for dozens of local dishes. When famine hit, villagers dried the ripe pears, ground them into flour, and used it to bake. Today, the flour is often mixed with wheat since it crumbles easily on its own, but it still forms the soul of local breads, potica, roulades, even štrukli, those special dumpling-like things that Slovenes love so much. They also boil the pears for a sort of pear broth and use the fresh flesh for even more recipes. At the center of all this pear-powered magic is Bojana Pipan. She's the culinary matriarch of Zasip, and if there's anyone who could be called the fairy godmother of prga cuisine, it's her. I first met Bojana at her pear cooking workshop at Zasip's Cultural Center. Since then, I've brought many guests to cook with her, and every time I've learned even more and left even fuller. Now, Bojana doesn't speak English, though she's ace in German, so she isn't interviewed in this episode. But let's play a short clip of her in Slovene. You'll get the gist of just how lovable she is. Aperitivček je tudi narejen iz tepke.
Tepka, med, šnaps.
Oh, Marija.
Tepka, med, lej se peli noter, vidiš?
Na zdravje.
Na zdravje.
Bojana isn't just a keeper of old recipes. She's an innovator, dreaming up new ones like a pear, porcini, kale, and cheese bake that sounds strange but tastes divine. She's also an educator, passing down these traditions to a group of local children who learn from her. To make sure her knowledge isn't lost, she published a cookbook called Okusi iz Prgarije, Flavors from the Prgarija, which is packed with sweet and savory creations using snow pears. If you find yourself in Zasip, look for Bojana. Take a workshop with her. You can sign up via the Tourist Information Center. Bojana's daughters are in the tourism industry and speak excellent English, so they can join if you need a translator. She is one of the good people on planet Earth, and an experience with her will brighten your life. Learn about dried pears, and you'll probably get a hug too. She is quite simply a national treasure in an apron. Now, if you're looking for a thrill near Lake Bled that still feels safe and serene, let me point you toward Zipline Dolinka, the longest zipline trail in Europe. 7 lines in total, 6 of them soaring over a tributary of the Sava River, stretching out a full 2.4 kilometers of horizontal flight. And the action takes place, of course, in Zasip. We met at the Zipline office in central Bled, just beside the bus station. And who opened the door? None other than my old friend Niko Rakovets, guide, translator, cooking instructor, and apparently zipline master too. Is there anything he doesn't do? If you're a regular listener to this podcast, then you've met him several times before. Well, he and his wife Petra live in Zasip. You see, Zasip is a central hub of good people. Our group, my family of four, a visiting friend, the brilliant photographer Matjaž Tancic, and two random Dutch women, geared up and headed out. Just a 5-minute drive later, we were in Zasip. Honestly, this village is the gift that keeps on giving. So first, Nico gave us a quick safety briefing and led us through a low practice line, about 20 meters long and just off the ground. My daughters rode in tandem with the guide since you need a bit more height and weight to zip solo. While we watched, Nico toggled effortlessly between English, Italian, and Dutch, cracking jokes and fielding phone calls. The man speaks 9 languages. I can barely handle one. Now, full disclosure, I am not a speed person. I ski cautiously. I bike even more so if I bike at all. The sensation of falling, even in an elevator, makes my stomach churn. But ziplining I love. It's fast, yes, but the motion is smooth and almost completely horizontal. You glide, you don't drop. There's no traffic, no surprises, just the feeling of flight. And wow, what a view. From up there, you see Bled Castle perched in the near distance, the glint of the Sava River below, pine and spruce trees reaching skyward like green spires. It's peaceful and thrilling all at once.
Bravo.
Unlike most ziplines, which offer one quick rush and it's over, this is a full 2.5-hour adventure. Light hikes connect the lines, giving you time to catch your breath, swap stories, and enjoy the forest not just from above, but from within. The longest stretch is about 700 meters and lasts close to a minute, but the whole sequence adds up to much more than the sum of its parts. When we touched down after the final zip, everyone had the same thought. Let's go again. But wait, there's more, because after ziplining, I went to Nico's house, because of course he and his wife run Bled cooking class there. Here's Nico. Nico, thank you so much for joining me. I'm speaking to you at your home in Zasip, one of the best villages in Slovenia. And I love it, but I wonder if you could tell me, as someone who lives there, what you like about it.
Well, Zasip is a small village spread along the hill home. So actually all the houses are underneath the hill, and we get a lot of sunshine. We have a lot of green area around. We have hill behind our house, so we can go for a walk. We can go to the forest. If the season is good, we can pick mushrooms in this forest. And actually also the very friendly people live here.
I have had a lot of positive experiences with the very friendly people from Zasip, yourself and your wife included. Now, you wear so many hats. I feel like you single-handedly pop up in so many of the things in and around Bled that are of interest. Can you tell us a little bit about the many things that you do?
Well, my main occupation now is being a tourist guide. I work on a zipline company, so I accompany people to fly on the wire over the river Sava Dolinka. Me and my wife, we also do cooking classes, and I also moderate a lot of events in Bled and also around Slovenia.
And you speak a lot of languages too. Not only is your English good, but I've been with you where somebody called you and you switched into Italian, and then a few minutes later somebody else called you and you spoke Dutch.
Yeah, it could be, or German or some Russian. It's no problem. But I'm quite a guy in the age, so I joke sometimes, if every 5 years in your life you learn one language, it's not difficult to speak many.
Oh, I like that approach. That's good. So I really enjoyed doing the Zipline Dolinka. Tell us a little bit about what you get to do if someone signs up to go on that with you.
If somebody signs for Zipline, first they have to come to our main office, which is situated beside the main bus station in Bled. Then we gear them up with the harness, with gloves, with helmet, and what's necessary. Then they go to our minivans, and they are brought to the edge of hill home here in Zasip, where we have a test wire. On this test wire, we show them everything what to do, and then each of them must do the test run on the short wire. So we see if this person is able to brake and to stop on time. And then the real fun starts on our 7 wires.
Now, it's 7 wires, so it's 7 times that you get to cross over the river. Is it the longest continuous string of zip lines in Europe?
Yeah, we assume we were checking a little bit around, and we are somehow competing with the one in Bovets. We are both approximately 4 kilometers long. We can't guarantee that it's the longest, but we think it is.
It's really special because a lot of zip lines you go to and it's one zip and that's fun, but it's all over in like less than 15 minutes. But here, there's 7 trips across the river. You get these great views. You see the castle in the distance, the river below you. And you also do a little bit of hiking in between. And it's like around 2.5 hours. So it really feels like you're getting a lot of experience.
Yeah, and you have these stunning views. If you cross the river from one side, you see Karavanke Mountains, the border mountain chain to Austria with the highest mountain Stowe. And when you cross the river in the other direction, you can see Triglav and the Julian Alps. So the scenery is really nice. And our guides are also trained a little bit like tourist guides. So they explain about castle, about a little bit about history, and of course the views, what our guests can see.
And you can also go with younger children if they're not heavy enough to go on their own. Like my daughters were actually attached to you when we went together.
Yeah, we offer this attraction to kids after 6-7 years if they have enough courage, and those that are lighter than 40 kilos, they must go with the guide together in tandem. Otherwise, it's slightly risky that these kids wouldn't reach the other side, because you have to have a certain weight to cross the river.
So the other thing that I really enjoy doing with you and with your wife is Bled cooking class. Tell us what that looks like.
We get the guests from various agencies, and we have a web page. We are also present on Bled Tourist Board web page. Guests can sign in directly to us, and then they come to our house. We run these cooking classes in our house, and we have a specially prepared kitchen for this attraction, this activity. First, of course, we know that the empty bag can't stand up straight, so we first give them some local cold cuts, some sausage, cheese, a homemade pumpkin seed spread, smoked lard, so they can taste a little bit already before they start to cook. Then we put them aprons, and we start to cut vegetable for barley stew, which is one of the dishes that we do. Then it goes to the pot and it starts to cook. And while the barley stew is on the stove, we do the dough for štrukli, the most famous Slovenian dish, I could say, beside potica. This is the dish that can be served as a starter, as a side dish, as a main dish, as a dessert. It depends how you prepare it, and you can also use many different ingredients. When this dough is done, we do the filling for štrukli, the filling for buckwheat pockets, which is the next dish we will prepare. Then another kneading of the dough for buckwheat pockets, then assembling all together, forming it, and then we put it in the boiling water. Then we wrap štrukli, and then it's time to eat. But first, our guests have to deserve this. They have to earn it, because in the middle, in between, we also teach them some Slovenian words. We have a small dictionary. So if at the end they know at least 5 Slovenian words, we give them this dinner. Otherwise, we give them the number of the restaurant where they can book the table. Which the last one was a joke, of course. They all can eat what they cook.
It's a wonderful experience, especially because it feels so welcoming, and you get to go to your home. It's you and your wife. It's a really lovely experience. You get to make multiple things, and then you have a meal together. So I highly recommend it.
There's another thing, because everybody who comes to a house in Slovenia, it's traditionally, they got served with some local schnapps that we get from our neighbors, Trglav. and we also present them 3 different types of wine from Slovenian regions, because this Upper Carniola region is not a wine region anymore, so we have to get it somewhere else.
So you get fed and watered both. That's lovely, and I look forward to the next time I have an excuse to come and cook with you. Thank you so much.
You're always welcome, Noah. Thank you for having me.
What was my experience like? First, I pulled up at Nico and Petra's home. Nico opened the door with a grin and, even better, a tray of schnapps. Now that's my kind of hospitality. After a hearty nazdravje to your health, we climbed the stairs of the house that Nico built himself. In the kitchen, Petra welcomed me warmly, as did a table covered in red and white polka dot cooking gear. We were about to spend the morning making our own lunch, with 1 local dish and 2 regional favorites on the menu. But first, what they call a snack. It could have passed for lunch in its own right. A rustic wooden board appeared, heavy with cold cuts cheese, a lard spread called zaseka that I'd happily eat off a boot, and a rich pumpkin seed spread. Then came a loaf of homemade bread so massive that Nico had to hack at it from multiple angles just to slice it. Honestly, I could have curled up with that bread, the meats and the schnapps, and probably skipped the rest, but there was more good stuff in store. I had a job to do, to cook. Petra guided me through 3 dishes: ricet, a hearty bean and barley stew; aidovi krapi, buckwheat dumplings shaped sort of like fish; and finally the iconic Bled cream cake, bleska kremna rezina, or kremschnitte as most people call it, which we introduced in the previous episode. I've eaten more than my fair share of Bled cream cake at the Park Hotel where it was invented, from bakeries in my mother-in-law's kitchen, but I'd never tried to make it. It always seemed too delicate or precise. I was about to find out if I had what it takes. But first up was ricet, a staple of Slovenian kitchens and one of my all-time favorite comfort foods. It belongs to a category of dishes called enolončnice, one-pot meals served in the same vessel they were cooked in. At my wedding, we served ricet at midnight to refuel for the dance floor. It's warming, filling, and endlessly forgiving. Here's a quick version of Petra's recipe, just in case you want to try it at home. Ricet, or bean and barley stew, serves 4. Soak 250 grams each of dried beans and barley overnight. The next day, rinse them and simmer with a bay leaf or 2, salt, and if you're not a vegetarian, a chunk of smoked meat. While that bubbles away, chop up potato, carrots, leek, onion, and garlic. You can sauté them or just throw them in raw, your call. Add the veggies, tomato puree, seasoning, and if you like, a good Slovenian sausage like kranjska klobasa. Let it all simmer for another half hour. Then serve with crusty bread, maybe straight from the oven, for the full communal experience. As we cooked and tasted and laughed, I realized something. This wasn't just a meal. It was a snapshot of Slovenian life, a lesson in flavor, tradition, and generosity, all dished out in a cozy Zasip kitchen. Not far from Bojana's kitchen and Nico and Petra's kitchen, because Zasip isn't that big, you can find the Trglav family farm, a place where the humble pair becomes something a little more spirited. You might have heard of tepkovets, the schnapps made from fermented and distilled snow pears. This is where the magic begins. The Trglav farm harvests its pears once a year, minces them, and lets them ferment in barrels for 6 months. Then comes the double distillation, first too strong, about 80 proof, then just right, around 40. From this pear base, the family produces around 30 kinds of schnapps, ranging from classics like plum and spruce tip to the more adventurous. They've experimented with carob, chocolate and mint, even echinacea. Some bottles even contain a full-size pear grown inside. It's not a trick. The bottles are tied to branches while the fruit is still small and left to grow inside like ships in bottles, but for connoisseurs. Their daughter Andrea welcomed me into the farmhouse and led me past the old blackened kitchen into a root cellar that could pass for paradise. Here's Andrea on Zasip.
Vsakokrat, ko me vprašajo, s kje pa si, pa rečem iz Zasipa.
Whenever someone asks me where I'm from, I say Zasip. And they say, where's that? Near Bled, I reply. Ah, near Bled. And I think to myself, how on earth can you know about Bled but not Zasip? Because for me, Zasip is even more beautiful than Bled.
If heaven had a schnapps cave, this would be it. Stone walls, a dirt floor, and hundreds of glass bottles, some tall and thin, others shaped like skulls or bears, all brimming with pear-based potions. It's a place with seriously good vibes. Tastings here aren't casual affairs, although you'll feel right at home. You're not just sipping schnapps, you're embarking on a slow, flavorful journey. And fortunately, Bojana's pear-based dishes can be on hand to soak it all up, because you can book an evening tasting schnapps with Andrea in her family's schnapps cellar, and with Bojana bringing all sorts of baked goods to eat alongside it. On my last visit, we feasted on spreads made of lentils, barley, local cheese, and pork, all served with pear flour bread and pear potica. It wasn't just a tasting, it has the air of a celebration. And if you want to take the experience home, bottles are for sale, but you'll need a well-packed suitcase. I always suggest a tourist-friendly version. Pour the schnapps into water bottles, seal with duct tape, and check them in your luggage. It's not elegant, but it works. But tasting here is one of my favorite things to do with guests, and if you have a large party especially, booking a schnapps tasting at the Trglau family farm, ideally with Bojana's baked goods nearby, is a great way to end your day. Or you can wrap up your Zasip adventure with a visit to Gostilna Kurej, the local inn that features recipes from Bojana's cookbook. Their standout dish, sweet strukli filled with dried pear, served with a silky pear sauce and a slice of fresh pear dipped in chocolate. In Zasip, everything circles back to the snow pear. It's more than a fruit, it's a tradition, a livelihood, and a symbol of resilience. This tiny village, practically in the shadow of Bled Castle, offers one of the most flavorful, authentic experiences in Slovenia. And chances are most Slovenes haven't even been. Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Bled Podcast. Is this the most beautiful place on earth? The official podcast of the Bled Tourist Board. In each episode, we explore Bled and its surroundings. You'll find it all here in this image of paradise.